everybody. It's time for another Talking with Topher. This is episode 277, and it's July 24th, 2025. And as always, I'm so happy to be alive. There's a lot to get into today, so let me start off the way I always do by saying thank you. Thank you to all of my subscribers. You are what's keeping me coming back week after week. If you're new, subscribe. You want your opportunity, tell your story, or be a guest, talkinwithtopher@gmail.com. Also, don't forget about the link tree. It's in the description below the video, along with all of today's links. They'll all be down there that we're going to discuss today. But before we go into anything that's happening today, I've got a few things that I would like to say. Yes, that's right, everybody. All right. Well, you want to talk about, man, I've heard people talk about this. I've heard so many people, and I don't know, man. Woo, could be a Hail Mary. Who knows? But, you ever heard the rich people be like, hey, you know what you need to do? You need to just do it. Blow up everything, bet on yourself, and take the risk. You ever heard this before? I have. Yeah, so I did it. I fucking did it, everybody. Oh, my God, yeah. As of right now, it's probably about 48 hours old. Look, what I'm going to start off with is I'm not bashing anybody. I'm not going to badmouth anything that happened. I'm not airing out any dirty laundry. The whole point of this message right here is that I betted on myself. That's what it is. I betted on myself, and I'm feeling very confident in my choice. It seems like everything kind of lined up all at once for me. Nothing that has happened in the last 48 hours was planned. I also would like to admit that nothing that I did was actually planned until after the fact of something happening and just pushing me over the edge. What I will say for everybody out there so that you can hear is that I will say I've been in management for over 25 years, and I felt like this was the most mishandled situation I have ever been involved in. Yeah, from start to finish. Not good. And I will say that running that front end was a monster all on its own. And the amount of abuse that I went through in 7 months, not from employees or, whatever, just from customers, it was tough. It was very, very tough. But it wasn't like it was mentally straining, but it wasn't the end all be all, but I was toughing it out. So I knew it wasn't for me. And so I had a lot of time to think about these things that were going on, to put things together so that I could think about them. I didn't want to do anything off of like crazy emotions this time. There was emotions involved, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the emotions that I was riding when I did what I did with the situation, which was send a very, very thoughtful email out explaining exactly why I was ending my employment there so quickly. And, I feel good about my decision because I feel good about myself right now. Like, I stood up for myself. I wasn't going to allow anybody to beat me up more than I beat up myself, if that makes sense to everybody out there. I couldn't let that happen. I mean, I beat myself up pretty bad, especially when I make a mistake, especially when I do something wrong. I try as hard as I can to learn from that. And I try to never repeat it again. And yeah, sure, am I human? Do I make the same mistake twice? Of course. But if you're not trying not to repeat your mistakes, then I don't know. Are you really learning? Are you really trying? I don't think so. So as long as you are trying 100% not to make the same mistake, then, when you point out the simple fact that somebody is stealing from your company after you definitely said what you were supposed to say to that person, that doesn't sit so well with me. And I couldn't look past it. And the write-up, I guess, say the least, is not even the biggest problem, but I think it should have been verbal. My honest opinion of the situation, where from what I've dealt with in my life, it would have been, the customer would have never gotten anything, maybe a toe somewhere. And then after that, there would have been a very descriptive, how you deal with this situation. And then it would have been left at that. It would have been, a verbal, because the training wasn't there. So how can you hold somebody accountable for something that they were never trained for, right? So I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I think it's only fair to my audience that you see where I'm coming from on this. I wasn't just blowing everything up because I wanted to. I was blowing it up because it actually struck me as something wrong. I felt like it was incorrect to stand behind. And for that, I'm kind of proud of myself, because that's not something I would have recognized in my past. It's not something I would have acknowledged at all. I would have probably just bit my tongue, dealt with the write-up, and moved forward. But I know now more of my value to myself. And that's what I'm thinking about right now, is my value. And my value was much higher than that situation. My value is much more than what I was doing. And, it kind of got proven to me. It kind of got proven to me because as soon as I thought about doing this, I reached out to a few people, and it was instantaneous. Yes, all set, done. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, shit, that's all I had to do? And so it did make it a little bit easier. It did make my decision-making a lot easier. But, it's still not unnerving. Of course, I moving on now, but if you feel a particular way, or you're doing things that make you feel uneasy, or you're unhappy with your situation, make sure you got everything lined up, and then stand up for yourself. That's all I'm saying. We have to be able to stand up for ourselves and not allow anybody say that we are lesser than, or we need to accept something because that's just the way it is. I don't think we have to accept anything the way it is, but I know right now, for myself, I feel better than I have in about 5 months. I got a nephew that wants to start podcasting. He's asking for advice. He's coming over to check out the pod and see how it's done, and that's super exciting. I just helped out my neighbor. Unfortunately, my car is a POS, and it is having a ton of work done right now. So again, ups, downs, there's all kinds of things going on all the time for all of us right now. It is a weird, weird time to be alive. And I don't feel like anybody is really happy, and we're all just in the middle of this, just trying to figure out like how to survive, and it's crazy because I talked to Tyler for we hung out. He's coming over tonight, and he's been feeling the same way, but the problem is that he felt alone. You're not alone. Nobody's alone out there. Nobody. We're all feeling the same shit, man. Feeling the same shit. So I think we need to find our happiness again. You have to do what makes you happy. And if you're doing something that's not making you happy, figure out how to change that. And once you figure out how to change that, man, it's so easy to pull the trigger on it. I've never done this before in my working career. I've never just left somewhere. But when something doesn't sit right and you don't feel right about it, it's okay to feel that way, and it's also okay to make it go away. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what's going on with me, everybody. So, turning that fucking page again. I am writing a new chapter. Now it's time for everything else that's going on because, hey, what's going on in Texas, everybody? What's up with these floods? All right, I don't know what the hell is going on, but I'm sorry. This isn't some natural disaster that just happened, and it hasn't happened in 100 years. Everybody remember this bullshit? You hear this over and over and over again? Yeah, well, Texas flooding live updates. 90 dead in the state, 11 missing from Camp Mystic. This is almost 28 minutes long. Look, I'm just going to kind of go through it and get to my point. But these areas that were hit, these camps that were devastated, this is wild, dude. This is wild. I don't know, but I can't say that I didn't say or reach out to a couple people as soon as I read about this. And I'm like, there's no way this is another natural disaster. And not even 24 hours later, we get stuff like this popping up. ICYMI. Augustus Dorico, the founder of cloud seeding geoengineering startup Rainmaker, which is funded at least $100,000 by Peter Thiel and connected to Palantir, was cloud seeding over parts of Texas 2 days before the horrific flooding that hit the region. Palantir is known for its surveillance and defense tech tracking, everything from troop movement to civilian behavior.
We're just by a tributary of the Guadalupe River over here at Center Point in front of the fire department, where we've been all day with hundreds of volunteers from all over central Texas just combing through all of that rugged terrain looking for either any signs of life or any victims of this flooding event, when suddenly we saw one of these cruisers from Kerr County, a sheriff's deputy, get on the radio telling everyone to leave, get out. And then we started seeing people rushing toward their cars and packing up. And that's when we heard from volunteers that water was apparently building up north, and there were major concerns that it was coming this way. We also then, shortly after that, got this text message: an emergency alert, severe. It says right here, high confidence of river flooding at North Fork of River, move to higher ground.
President at Real Donald Trump shares Texas Governor Abbott's declaration of major disaster for Texas amidst the devastating floods under Robert T. Stanford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance. And he's declared it a major disaster, blah, blah, blah. Then you go to the next one. Governor Abbott declares July 6th a day of prayer for Texas flood victims. Now, George Bush Date of birth, July 6, 1946. I don't really know the correlation. I think it digs a little bit more into it. But this is just terrible, man. If this is true. Christian summer camp where girls went missing during devastating flooding has been attended by daughters of Texas political elite for 100 years. So now it's seeming like some type of hit on the elite's children to what? Stop bloodlines? Like I said, I was a little worried about this. Now, if you take a look at this picture here, make this bigger and blow it up for you, you can see where the river is going, the canyon, and all this stuff right here. I flip to the next one, and you can see right through the river is the YMCA. You have Camp Arrowhead, Camp Mystic, and Camp Stewart. So Camp Stewart's a little bit further away from the river, so they probably didn't. But these three right here, I think were the targets, man. They were the targets. You know, when you zoom in on Texas, it's right smack dab in the center. Now, there was something else that popped up about dams that were broken, right? And then you go back into the Instagram, Camp Mystic, which has been attended by the daughters of Lyndon B. Johnson and several Texas governors, as well as former First Lady Laura Bush, has given many of their first taste of freedom and space to forge an identity, said Clara Sullivan, who attended the camp and later worked there. Christian summer camp, where girls went missing during devastating flood, have been attended by daughters of Texas political elite for 100 years. While attending Southern Medical University, First Lady Laura Bush was a Camp Mystic counselor years before she married George W. Bush, who would serve as Texas governor. He, like his father, became president, according to Texas Monthly. So then we got this guy.
So this map right here shows 4 different areas in Texas where they do the cloud seeding. This is right out in the open. They tell us this is what we do. We inject all of these chemicals up in the sky to create rain. And where this flood happened was right in between 2 of them right here. And so it sucks to even mention this because people are like, oh, this is disrespectful. But I think it's disrespectful if we don't bring it up. This is very suspect how quickly this happened. Watch. And so what was the first thing you thought when you saw this on the news? Did you think this was a natural occurrence? Or did Lyndon B. Johnson's words right here, did they come to you?
That will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather. And he who controls the weather will control the world.
And then you got 4/3/33, April 3rd, AD 33, why we believe we can know the exact date Jesus died. Opening date, March 22nd, 1980. Dismantled date, July 6, 2022. Georgia Guidestones are destroyed on George Bush's 322 Skull and Bones birthday. The Georgia Guidestones. Oh, it's these things. July 6, 1946. Date of birth, George Bush. Tuesday, June 3rd, 25th to Sunday, July 6th, 25 is 33 days. Wednesday, March 11th, 2020 to Tuesday, June 3rd, 25 is 1911 days. Oh. And from Tuesday, September 11th, 2001 to Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 is 8,666 days. Now, these numbers correlate with things. So I don't remember all the things they correlate with. 6/3/25, 9 a.m. What the government doesn't want you to know is now available on YouTube. The fifth plane. Yeah, what is this fucking fifth plane they keep throwing at us? What is this fifth plane? There were no planes. Maybe one plane. So The World Behind is now streaming on Netflix. Elon Musk was left triggered over a Tesla scene in Leave the World Behind. I have not seen this yet, but now I want to. I've looked at this a couple times now, and yeah, I need to see what this Leave the World Behind thing is. Elon Musk AI Grok says he is responsible for the death of campers who died in the flood. It says Doge cuts were led to underestimating rainfall by 50% and delaying alerts, adding facts over feelings. What? So his AI predicted this and we didn't do anything about it because of it's his responsibility because he used Doge to cut? It's truly mind-blowing how we have once in a lifetime weather catastrophe almost weekly now, and people still don't believe in weather modification. This blows my fucking mind, everybody, because it's crazy. Major retailer Green announces bill to tackle weather modification. Yeah, we need to stop it. We need to stop it. Musk AI robot blames Trump and its own creator for the Texas flooding and death. I don't believe that to be true at all. This has been going on long before Trump. Let's see. Goddamn, Gronk just said, yep, Trump and Elon killed those girls. Grok? How do you say this? What is this new AI? Not my exact words, but close enough. Trump's NOAA cuts pushed by Musk Doge, slash funding by 30%, staff 17%, underestimating rainfall by 50%, and delaying alerts. This contributed to the floods, killing of 24, including 20 Camp Mystic girls, facts over feelings. Now, that is up to 90 fucking people now. 90. On this day of prayer, Laura and I are holding up our fellow Texans who are hurting. We are heartbroken by the loss of life and agony so many are feeling. Those who have lost their precious children are facing a grief no parent should ever know. We are grateful to the first responders and volunteers who are working to find the missing and comfort the grieving. At Camp Mystic and along Guadalupe, we know our words cannot help, but we believe the prayers of so many Americans will. Yeah, so that's absolutely wild, everybody. I cannot even... No, you can't tell me it is a natural disaster anymore. There's too many of them. Oh, it only happens every 100 years. How many? I said this how many years ago? How many of these are we going to have? How many more are on their way? Oh, guess what? They're not what they told us they were. This seeding, this weather manipulation. Hell, I heard that those dams broke. And if those dams broke, or the rain caused this, or somebody damaged those dams, and then this rain took off and those dams malfunctioned because of it, or failed, is this really Elon and Trump's fault, or is that just another way to spin this? Right? Because if it's not a natural disaster, we got to point the finger at somebody. How about the decades of seeding the clouds, of spraying these chemicals all around to make it rain? I just don't believe we're supposed to have rain in the places that don't have it. It's just not supposed to happen, and we're so stuck in our ways that we're like, no, we have to have rain. I live here. I got grass. Well, guess what? You should have picked a different area to live in. Do you see how many areas there were around Texas where they do seeding? All of those areas are in trouble. Every single one of them. This is not the only one that's going to happen. This is just one of many. And if they are trying to take out elite kin, that's wild to add on top of the fact that we just broke the weather. We broke the weather. And are we using weather to take out targets? Probably. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt anything anymore. Like I said, it is a crazy time to be alive. And if you look at anything today and go, nah, It's exactly what they told me it is. I don't know. I don't know how you can get behind that today. I just don't. All right, so check this out. GPT reveals parasite cover-up in America. What? What do you mean parasite? What parasite? Tell me. Parasites, the hitting epidemic. Parasites aren't just a third world issue. They're a silent epidemic in America. Contaminated water, undercooked meat, sushi, pets, soil, even produce. Yet the medical system doesn't screen for them unless you've been overseas. Why? Because if parasites were acknowledged as a root cause of chronic illness, the entire sick care system would collapse. And that's very true, because parasites are actually curable. So part 2, outdated testing equals false peace. Stool tests miss most parasites. Here's why. Parasites don't shed consistently. Some live in organs, not the gut. Labs only test for a tiny list of known species. Result, you're told everything looks normal, while parasites silently feed on your nutrients and dump their waste into your system. Dude, this is creepy. Part 3, the symptoms they can't explain. Doctors can't explain why you have chronic fatigue, IBS, bloating, or food intolerances. Skin issues like eczema or psoriasis, migraines, autoimmune flares, and anxiety or depression. So they give you meds to mask the symptoms, but never talk about the real invaders. Part 4, follow the money. There's no profit in getting you parasite free. By endless prescriptions, specialists, and surgeries, that's a gold mine. The system keeps you sick and calls it healthcare. The truth is leaking out. Most people are awakening. They're cleansing. They're detoxing. They're reclaiming their health and realizing parasites were behind the symptoms their doctor dismissed for years. The system won't save you. You have to save yourself, everybody. This is what I keep telling everybody, right? This is what I keep telling everybody. You got to do this shit yourself. Ask your doctors for those blood tests. Pay for them out of pocket. Get your diet right. Stop eating this fucking garbage. Did you see all the new stuff on fucking TV now? And the only reason I say it's new is because it's new to them, telling us about how to read labels and how to identify what's actually healthy for you. And look at everybody's going to take out the toxic chemicals and the colors. And fuck you people. I've been doing this for over a decade. Been saying this for 6 years on this podcast alone. Jesus Christ. And now every single fucking morning, somebody's on the TV telling you all how to look at your labels. Well, I think it's absolutely hilarious that it took national TV for you to mostly listen, which is disgusting because they're the wrong fucking people to listen to. Look at how long it took them to tell you. 10 years before they even said a peep? That's wrong, everybody. That's wrong. That's how long that timeline is, by the way. Absolutely disgusting what they will do to hide everything they can from us. Now, this is wild, everybody. Now, I don't know if it happened. Look, it's past July 4th. I didn't hear of anything like this happening. But this was one of those things going around where July 4th, there was supposed to be something catastrophic happening. Unfortunately, the only thing catastrophic that's happened is that river fucking doing what it did and killing all those people. But this was supposed to happen. I mean, this looks fake as fuck anyways, but I'm going to play it because I do find it interesting. Again, one of those things that was supposed to happen, but didn't happen, but was predicted. But again, we don't know the future. But check this out. Very interesting claim.
And we sit back in this stunned mullet silence of going, clearly they're not going to do it again. Well, bad news for everybody. Tom Ridge, that's right, the Secretary of Homeland Security, when it was first established under the Bush administration, collaborated with a group of people to come up with a scenario in which they are calling for, and listen carefully to what I'm going to say, the death of 280,000 Americans on July 4th, 2025. In 1 month from today, there is a plan that involves the murder of 280,000 Americans on a single day. And the best part of it is they're going to blame a foreign actor for it, except for a tiny little problem. Yeah, if you hop down to page 9 of that National Blueprint for Biodefense, Seth, and highlight the first major paragraph under the U.S. House of Representatives, let's go ahead, for the sake of everybody on here, make sure that we read it. We were attacked, and we don't know who did the attack, but the infectious agent they used killed 280,000 Americans and infected at least 400,000 throughout the country on a single day, in addition to 200,000 dead and 800,000 sickened animals. Now, if you scroll up for a moment, Seth, and keep going until I tell you to stop, just keep scrolling. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. What you're going to find when you get to this page, oh, there you go. Look at ex officio members. If you look at the ex officio members of this particular committee, there are two names that I want to call your attention to: Gerald W. Parker and George Post. Those names are names that people should be familiar with, but they are not. These are veterinary scientists and gain-of-function scientists who have done an enormous amount of work in a variety of pathogens. George Post famously was very much involved in the Arizona contribution to the gain-of-function research that brought us COVID-19 and all of those kinds of things. And here we have the same actors. In this case, we have the ability to go into their research and find out what kind of pathogen would go after humans and animals on the same day. How do we figure out what that is? And it turns out that there are a bunch of options. Nipah virus is what they refer to in this scenario, but equine encephalitis, which is a huge gain-of-function problem, is something that these guys have been familiar with. And there are several other pathogens that these guys have been working with. And the fact is that they're telling us that on July 4th, on the celebration of the 249th year of America in its formation, we are going to allegedly have a biological weapons attack. And do you realize, Seth, that not a single person in law enforcement, not a single person in the White House, not Bobby Kennedy at HHS, not a Tulsi Gabbard at the DNI, not a single person is actually taking an action to interdict the actors that I'm talking about? This is not a problem that happened during the Biden non-presidency. This is a thing that is a statement of intent to once again take advantage of human dynamics. So where we are going to appeal to fear, we are going to appeal to this notion that somebody out there attacked us, where we know already who the actors are. We have a high probability of knowing what they're going to say the pathogen was. And remember, these are not pathogens. These are weapons deployed against humanity.
Woo! I mean, did anybody hear about this happening? And now, of course, I think, it's weeks, the 24th of fucking July. So this was the 3rd or 4th of June, and here we are, the 24th of July, talking about it, and this was supposed to go down July 4th, and I never heard anything about it. Not a peep. No bioweapon. Nobody attacked us. 280,000 Americans dead. 400,000 infected. Never happened. So why do we do this? These are the ones that I'm like, okay, well, why are we trying to predict the future? Why? I don't think it's a good idea. These are the problems that I have with a lot of these things that go on that I talk about today, is that, you know, if it's something where we're predicting what's going to happen, I just think we need to dial that back and just talk about the things that maybe they're hiding from us that did happen, that we can try to prove, but we can't say that this is going to happen in the future. We just can't do that. And I think that's where a lot of these things tend to fall apart and sound far-fetched, is anytime a future prediction date is added to it. You know what I mean? So this is really neat. I like having all these like court things in here, these little tips and tricks for everybody on what not to do or what you are capable of doing. And this one's really good, man. This was a good tidbit of information right here. And I wanted everybody to hear it because, I mean, we need to know these things. We really do.
Tricks you. They will arrest you before you've had a trial without a grand jury indictment. They break the law completely. They put you in orange clothes and shackles, and nearly 3 days later, after they've held you in jail for close to the maximum 72 hours, they bring you before a judge, and he asks you, how do you plead? And your bar attorney will nudge you in the ribs saying, enter a plea, enter a plea, enter a plea. You absolutely do not enter a plea. And our cover cards teach you what to do and what not to do. You want to demand to see the verified criminal complaint. Because most of the time the district attorneys give you a love letter about all these codes you broke. But the district attorney can't write a verified criminal complaint. They work for the government. They're not a real party of interest. A person, another citizen, has to pick up pen and paper and write a verified criminal complaint, and they can't prosecute you without one of those. And what they next have to do is they need to prove that you have act, intent, and damage, that there's probable cause for this crime. And if they don't have any of that in place, they can't prosecute you. However, if they get you to their court, they put you in front of their high priest in a black 90, and he says, how do you plead? And you say, I'm not guilty, or no contest. They then say, ha, you agreed to be prosecuted. Let's go ahead with the prosecution. It's now under contract. You've agreed to be prosecuted. You've taken the hook, line and sinker. You've agreed to go in and be prosecuted. And it's a trick these criminals are pulling. It's fraud, it's criminal, it's completely outside the constructs of the United States Constitution and law and order and everything that's decent. And this is how our judges and our lawyers are building a criminal enterprise which has thrown so many people in this nation behind bars and been very profitable for the lawyers, the cops, and the judges. Thank you.
Wow. Is that not wild? You don't have to plea? What? I want to see my criminal whatever paper. Okay. Didn't know that. Always thought that when they asked for your plea, you put your plea in. But no, you should ask for that piece of paper. You should see it. And then you can go accordingly with that. But most of the time, it's not existing. It's not existing. So, no, I will never put a plea in again. Nope. That's crazy, right? Know your rights, everybody. Know your rights. It's wild. It's wild when we actually find out what we are supposed to be doing, isn't it? I find it to be mind-blowing because I never, ever knew that. So this one here is the SPARS pandemic. Now, again, I already said we shouldn't be doing future stuff, but this is supposed to be something that's going to take place between 2025 and 2028. Now, I've already said that I feel like the end of the world could be 2027, 2030. And if Trump is our last president, it's not because he's not getting out of office, or he corrupted our government, or stopped elections. I don't believe in any of that. I believe it's the end of the world. Isn't that so much more enjoyable to think about? It's just over. Who gives a shit? I mean, goddamn, dude. But check this out. This is wild, man. I tell you, these predictions are very interesting because, I mean, it is fun to try and predict something, but again, I know that the COVID-19 has not sit very well with everybody, but to continue thinking that this is just going to keep rolling out over and over and over again is very interesting as well, because I'm really hoping that everybody's wrong.
Remember, guys, they always put what they're going to do right out in Front Street.
That is true.
They want you to know they're going to do it. In April of 2024, the NIH decided to run a scenario where they're emulating a new pandemic that starts on July 4th of 2025, not ending until December of 2028. This new pandemic scenario, they emulated an outbreak of Nipah virus.
Nipah,
which
again.
did a little bit of research on a Nipah virus. It has a 72% mortality rate, meaning 7 out of 10 people that contract this virus will die. Now, the Chinese media has been releasing a study in zoology and 20 new viruses that can be transmitted from bats to human. The number one virus on this list that they just released yesterday is the Nipah virus. It's already set up and ready to go. They put it right out in front.
That's crazy. The Nipah virus, though, it keeps coming up. I think I brought it up about 4, maybe 8 weeks ago. And now it's coming up more and more and more. So it does have me a little worried, because usually when we start talking about something more and more, it's pretty true. It's pretty true at that point. And I mean, if this thing does have a 74% mortality rate, and it jumps from animals to humans, and I mean, Jesus Christ, everybody, why do they want to do this, man? I mean, it's gonna. Didn't I say this like a year or two ago? I mean, to whack everybody this way is gonna be such a messy cleanup. Could you imagine just how many just were all perished in our houses during the summer? Ugh. Who's going to clean everything up? What are you going to do with it all? You have to get rid of us all. It's so weird, man. What a weird way to live life, wanting to depopulize the world. And at any means necessary. What a weird way to think about things, huh? Like, just think about it. And it just feels weird to, like, want so many people to just be dead and gone. And then I think to myself, that's never been a thought in my brain until now. So, weird. What a weird thought to have, and an uncomfortable thought to think about. Really. I mean, but Nipah virus, everybody, keep your ears on the ground. What is going on with aerosol vaccines? Have anybody heard about this? Now we want to try and vaccinate people without them knowing that they're being vaccinated, because we're going to do it through aerosol, which I believe is being put out there by airplanes. So we're going to treat vaccines the same way that we treat cloud seeding? Dude, if this is even remotely fucking true, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. They will not give up.
Good God. I know we've covered this, but you want to talk about playing God, and this is where, to me, it's just gone wild.
Yeah, so when we realized that vaccines could be sprayed, that's when we started to look into aerosolized vaccines.
Like why is that written there? Right? I mean, that just sets off a red flag. Wait a minute. Why would anyone ever consider, we think of vaccines as like we injected every child, or, you know, now all of a sudden, oh no, there must be an area of research here.
Right. So that's when we started looking into aerosolized vaccines. So we started pulling grants, and we could see that there was funding going to aerosolized COVID vaccines. But that wasn't the most shocking discovery that we made. This is what led us to the discovery that our government's funding research on transmissible vaccines or self-spreading vaccines. And so the High Wire covered this. Jeffrey Jackson did a report on this. And so what we've been doing is we've been building off of the research that was done to basically see what is going on with these transmissible vaccines. And again, as a reminder for anyone who maybe missed the segment, they're developing vaccines that would essentially act like a live virus, where it could basically replicate itself into new hosts. And so the idea is that we know that viruses evolve and change, but our vaccines are static. So they wanted to create vaccines that would evolve and change.
Absolutely terrible. Terrible, everybody. That's so bad, man. Like, what? Now you want to start doing it through the aerosols. Anybody who's behind it 100% doesn't give a fuck what they do with it. They don't. They think it's absolutely great that they're going to do something like this. I do not. I do not. I do not. I do not. This thing has been terrible from the get-go. It has done nothing but cause pain and suffering. It has helped nothing. And we all found out we should have just done regular immunity from this virus, and we would have all been better off. But instead, they keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Why? Because it makes them money. That's why. It's the only reason. There's no other reason. I got government funding to do this, and now I'm doing it. That's all they care about, man. That bottom line. All right, everybody. Look, I'm not pro anything here, but did you know the actual history and the origin of the swastika? I did not. I knew that it was a positive symbol that had been stolen and turned into a negative symbol. That's what I knew about the history or the origin of the swastika. This goes into great detail and is very informative, and I think we actually do have to look at our past a lot more. It's like looking at all the things that may have caused those floods. Look, I'm not being heartless, but if we would be crazy today to not bring these things up or to ask these questions or say, hey, did you fuck up? Because you could have, right? Same with this. This is a wild history about a symbol that is supposed to be so dark and so evil that none of us are ever supposed to have it anywhere near us. That's how evil this symbol has been turned, or how much evil this symbol represents. But did you know where it actually came from and what it actually represented? I did not. Here we go.
That is not a German term. The very name swastika is a Hindu word, and it's a symbol. Now, most people in the audience have probably never heard of this, but in occultism, it deals a lot with energies, with powers and forces, and these powers and forces come through something that are called chakras. And the word chakra is a Hindu word which means spinning vortex. Now, the swastika is a symbol of the chakras that are energized and working in unison. So the word swastika is a Hindu word, not a German word. And the word Aryan is a Hindu word. Now, it has nothing to do with ancient Germans. The Aryans were the Brahmin caste of Hinduism. So much of the terminology and concepts that Hitler used were from esoteric Hinduism and had nothing to do with, ancient German culture or folklore at all.
That is so crazy, everybody, right? Did you know that? That shit was all Hindu? The name, what it meant, what it was for? That's crazy. I had no idea. I really did believe that it was some positive German thing that he turned into a negative Nancy. You know what I mean? But it wasn't. He stole it from the Hindus and turned it into the ugliest looked at symbol on the planet, which is crazy because it means the complete and absolute opposite. And was it turned into a negative thing so that we would never use it for a positive because it would unlock the things that we're missing? The telepathic things that we all have inside of us, these chakras, these brain waves, whatever it is. But if you look at the Tartarians, you look at the ancient lost civilizations, the self-powering cities that once existed, were all based off of shock waves and energy and energy coming from the planet and energy that was coming from ourselves and energy from water. So was this symbol something that he just utilized, or was it strategically given to him because somebody knew that, hey, we'll give this to him, he'll utilize it, and then he'll ruin it, and now we took another piece that they needed to break away from us, and they don't have it anymore, right? Just like all the distractions and everything else that we're dealing with. That takes away from the fact that we once may have communicated with each other without using words, because words have actually ruined our communication. I don't know, but you start putting stuff together like this and, hey, it doesn't not make sense. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but that's crazy. I had no idea that that symbol was something so positive, and now is just, yeah, it's extremely negatively looked at. But did we lose a piece of ourselves when that symbol got changed into a negative thing? All right, I love these guys. Sunday Cool Tea USA. They are popping up everywhere. Everybody's using their videos. They are talking about the craziest of the craziest, and their explanations in their videos are amazing. I absolutely love sharing their videos, and the fact that they do not worry about anybody else doing it or using their stuff is amazing. So I have to give it up to them. But this is Sunday Cool Tea USA, Cult of Black Cube. Has anybody heard of the Black Cube? Dude, this is wild. I love this. And man, I don't know. Do we have to believe in space in order for this to be true? Because if we do, it does break a few things. But I mean, I guess if we're a planet of different dimensions, then space could be part of that dimension. Maybe space isn't really fake, but maybe we just don't know as much as we want to about it. But check this out. This is crazy. This is wild. I love it.
The Cult of the Black Cube, better known as the Saturn Death Cult. The global elite worships the dark side of the planet Saturn and uses occult symbols in modern institutions, and it's been going on since creation. Basically started with the fallen angels, and it all revolves around the god Saturn. But this god Saturn is also the god Baal, the god Molech,
oh gosh,
and is prevalent in basically every ancient and modern satanic.
Saturn is Satan.
They think it translates from Satan, the astrology Capricorn, which is the primary thing in that is Saturn, which is a goat. The black cube, I'm like, where's the black cube come into this? There's like this dark spot on the top of Saturn that is in the shape of a hexagon. And
I've
if
never
you take
noticed
the hexagon and you make it a three-dimensional, it makes a cube. What was crazy is that if you go to basically any major financial district, they all have a monument of a black cube.
No way.
They believe that worship of it is that they're able to tap into this realm or this deity to be able to enslave the masses.
Whoa! Isn't that... Dude, now I've looked at a few business districts. It's true. The cube is there, and I never noticed that on the top of Saturn until that video. And if you go and look at the pictures of Saturn that we have, it's clear as day. So could the black cube be a worshiping cube to Saturn, which is actually you're worshiping Satan? I mean, maybe, but that's what these people want. They want what they want. It's the same outcome for them. They want it all. You will have nothing, and you will be happy. And if we've learned anything from the amount of stories that I've told on this, is that the Rothschilds killed the Tartarians, and they took over, and they are all evil, and they are Satan worshipers. And so they are bringing Satan to us all. And eventually, they're going to try and get what they want. And hopefully it never happens, because I don't know how to have nothing and be happy. Because I had nothing and I wasn't happy. But now I got my life back. So I'm super pumped. I greatly appreciate everybody out there. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep this thing up, and I got more things to look forward to in my future, which I also do not know how it's gonna turn out, but I will let you know how it's going week to week. If you're new, remember to subscribe. And then, of course, you want your opportunity to be a guest or tell your story, talkinwithtopher@gmail.com. Send an audio, video, or type it out. Don't forget about that link tree. It's in the description below the video. It has everything TwT. It's just that easy, and that's where you find all the links discussed on this podcast. I do hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Enjoy your weekend, and as always, I will talk to you next week.